Hey there, YouTube. We are here in the garage at the blue Jeep. Feeling a lot better, not as sick as I was, have a lot more energy and drive to do stuff, even though I've done quite a bit, but more on that here after a bit. I wanted to show you the weld. Got some paint and stuff on it to help it rust a little slower and match the rest of the patina on the engine. And before we come back and talk about all the stuff that's still going on with it or that I've done, I'm going to take you over, set you up at the whiteboard, and talk about that process that I did fixing that weld. I try to give you a little bit of a visual of it. But let's go over there and do that real quick. All right, guys. Here's what I got. Drew this up for you guys. This is the water pump mounting surface with water pump off for right now. Here's the head, exhaust, intakes, exhaust. And then here's the crack that I had cleaned out. So what I did initially is I took the TIG welder and the rod and I went in here and I filled it in. And I had to work my way because I had made it pretty large. And I filled it in. Of course, I had that rod in there and I had to weld all around it, try and get it to stop leaking. And then I had come in along each side with a little bit of material and I filled it in. And I thought that was going to work, but when I initially refilled it with the water pump on, it was still leaking. And so I came back through after draining it and I added a little more, especially down here and any other spots that it was kind of leaking, and it didn't fix it. So I was getting frustrated, thought about quitting doing this and just pulling the engine out of the white Jeep and just calling it good, because I know that's a good engine. But I decided, just kind of on a whim, I did some research and found that the cast iron, the rod that I was using, and then the flux core wire in my MIG welder were all compatible. They all have the same materials. And I decided that since I need more practice with the TIG welder, that I probably should quit trying to mess around with that and do it with something that I know about, which is MIG welding. And the flux core worked out pretty good. It had like a small bits of copper in it, but I think the cast iron has a little bit, and I think this rod had some in it too, as well as it had like a little bit of iron and some nickel and things in the rod that I was using for the TIG. And there's a lot of iron in the MIG welder wire too, along with that little bit of copper. So what I did though is I preheated everything, make sure that I burned off as much of that old coolant and stuff, and then I wire brushed everything, cleaned it up, got it pretty, picked it out with a pick, get any nasty like little impurities out that were stuck in any little crevices. And then I took the gun and I held it kind of at an angle and down, but like pointed it pretty much directly into the metal. And like if I was looking at it from this point, I had taken the water pump off, so I held it kind of like that, up against the side, and then worked my way up. So I started from the bottom, and I stuck close to this edge. This is kind of getting some black on it, so you can't really tell it's red. And I stuck as close to this edge as I could, even overlapped it, and I went from the bottom, like a ways past where I was having all these leaks, and I worked my way up to like I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch down from this head gasket surface, because I didn't want to mess it up. And then I took the ball peen hammer with the ball end, and I hit this up and down. And not only was I knocking off any sort of flux or slag or anything that was coming up, I was also shocking the heat and getting it to dissipate all into the rest, surrounding material, not just down but outwards. And then I took a wire brush and I went over it, wire brushed it really good, got nice shiny, and then took the pick and picked out any more bits of nasty stuff, flux, slag, any impurities. Picked it all out to where it was just absolutely shiny. It was almost, I don't want to say it was mirror finish, but I got it down really shiny with the wire brush and the pick. And then I just moved over and I overlapped my next bead and just went in the same direction, as straight up alongside of as I could, and stopped almost at the same place. And then I repeated the process, hit it with the hammer, wire brush, pick it out, and just kept doing that over and over again until I worked my way all the way over. And I started down a lot lower than the material that was already there, to try and ensure that there was no leaks. And I overlapped each bead best as I could all the way down to the end. So I ended up with a lot of material, and here where this pin was, I did have to come up a little bit closer to the edge. And then I think I had even overlapped a bead going this way. And I didn't do this one in a one shot. I would do like, about an inch and a quarter or so, and then I would stop, and then I would hit it and do my process of peening and everything, and then I would restart it and do another inch, and then just over and over again. It was a time consuming process, and kind of sucked, but I'm glad I did it. I ended up having to kind of clean off this edge, the surface, but it worked out pretty good. So let's do it from the front. So basically what I ended up with was, because I had already had material down here, I had to come over the top of it, and I went way down. And so all this is new material. So this is probably, because the wall of this thing, let's try to do just a dotted line. It's not really thick, and that's to visualize like the thickness of the material on the side wall of the engine block. I ended up with probably close to half an inch, maybe a little more of material in there now. But doing it with the MIG welder, it actually looked pretty good. I should have got some pictures of it. Oh, I do. I'll pop up that picture of how it looked after I was all done with it and had the water pump on it. I didn't get any shots from this end, but it's really thick in there. I think it's going to work out good. It's not leaking right now. It might leak. Running it is the test, because I wanted to stop. I don't know if I mentioned it. I wanted to stop below this surface because I didn't want to weld the head and the block together, but I also didn't want to mess up that head gasket in there, which I thought I did. Time will tell once we start running it whether I did or not, because it was kind of getting a little cooked right there from the heat. But I think it's going to be just fine. Hopefully this helps. Hitting it with the hammer and cleaning it up between each weld, I think, helped. I should have got more practice with the TIG welder before I did this. But now I know. But the MIG welder worked out good. All the materials are the same, and all of the videos that I had watched were telling me not to put too much heat down into the cast iron. But in my case, That was exactly what I needed to do. I just needed to take my time though to ensure that it didn't crack. And peening and cleaning helped out a lot. So I know this was kind of a long section of doing this part of it. Hopefully it helped you better understand what I did. But now let's get back over there and I'll show you what I did and what I need to do next. All right, guys, sorry for talking about the welding stuff for so long. I just wanted to try to give you a better visual on it. Right now what I got going on is I had to order a new radiator. This one is new. It's a brand new radiator. I just got to replace it, which I could probably fix this stud because it's broken and it wiggles around, so that's not good. But what happened is when I took this thing off, I guess I wasn't thinking. You're not supposed to take these fittings off. I did anyway. You're just supposed to unclip it out of there with one of those special tools that pushes those clips down and then you pull it off. Well, for whatever reason, I took it off right here and it ended up stripping out on the radiator side. And plus I kind of stripped out this one. This nut right here was damaged, so I had to order new transmission lines just in case, which they'll probably end up going on this thing because I don't want that nut stripping out the new radiator that I'm going to get. Yeah, so I got that coming. That'll probably be a week or two. But while I was sick, on the days that I was feeling good enough, I would heat up the garage and I would come out here and I would do like one little thing at a time. And like I put the alternator bracket on, put the alternator on, AC compressor, which doesn't work because there's no condenser. Then I came out and I did the intake and exhaust. Got to figure out a nut for this side because it's stripped out for some reason. I think that was from the previous owner, but whatever. So I got that all tightened on. Then I did the oil pan, which with that I put some RTV up on the underside of the block all along all the edges. In the back there's like a cradle, and I put RTV up inside of that cradle and then pushed the part of the gasket up in against that. And then I took all the bolts to hold the I cleaned them off, of course, because they were pretty nasty. And then I held the gasket up to the block and then, you know, pushed on it, made sure that it sealed, and then let the RTV cure. And then came back out, put a bead around the oil pan, and then smoothed that all out, and then took the bolts back out, and then put the oil pan up, held it with the bolts, and didn't tighten them down, just went till where they just kind of stopped. And there was no movement in the oil pan, no movement with the washers on those bolts, and let that cure. And then I came out and tightened it up. And then I did the valve cover, kind of same thing, just put all the bolts in with RTV and stuff on the gasket, and then just tightened down to where they just stopped and there's no movement, pushed down on it, walked away, let it cure up, and then now I'm moving on to other things. But yeah, so I'll get the new radiator and then hook up all the electrical, power steering, and fill it with oil. And then when I get the radiator, I can fill it with coolant and transmission fluid. I'll have the brakes bled. And then this thing will be outside, and the next time you see it, it'll have a battery and everything will be hooked up, and hopefully, you know, I'll have all the checklists checked off, and we'll take it for a test drive. But that won't be for a few weeks. So that's it for this thing. I will show you some stuff that I've been kind of doing when I was feeling good on the Gold Jeep. And yeah, so that'll be in the next video, probably the Gold Jeep. But it'll be a while to see this thing. So thanks for watching. Apologize for talking so much, but till next time, y'all take care now.